Hey, friends, welcome back to noseyAF, conversations about art, activism, and social change. I'm your host and friend, Stephanie Graham, and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. This week is sort of one of those like back at it kind of weeks. It's like I've started back at the gig. Folks are, the holidays are over. And so we have to like clock in, focus, just do our work. So I hope you had a wonderful holiday season and break. And yeah, it's going to be a great year. So today's conversation is one of those that starts in sports and then ends up somewhere much bigger, like visibility, identity, creativity, and what it means to move your body on your own terms. My guest today is Angela Hollowell, a filmmaker, writer, and the creator of Melanin MVP, a platform dedicated to celebrating women athletes of color, from Olympic champions to what Angela calls everyday athletes, a phrase I love so much. Like, I'm totally an everyday athlete, okay, as I tuck my hair behind my ear. Angela and I talk about why women's sports are finally getting attention, how NIL money changed the game, and why glam and athleticism do not cancel each other out, and how creativity, movement, and confidence are deeply connected. This conversation is funny, thoughtful, a little chaotic in the best way, and I think it might help you. Not that you need help, but I think it might just, sort of get the juices flowing of rethinking what an athlete looks like. So let's get into it. Welcome to noseyAF.
Gotta get up, tell the whole world you a winner. Vision of a star with a mission and a cause. What you doing, how you doing, what you doing, and who you are. Flex yourself, impress yourself. Check yourself, don't wreck yourself. If you know me, then you know that I be knowing what's up. Hey, Stephanie Graham is nosy as
Angela, welcome to noseyAF.
Thank you for having me. It feels like a long time coming.
Yes, I am so happy to talk to you because, when I started really getting into art, I listened to a podcast that is called Bad at Sports, and it's still around, which was really funny because when I was growing up, it was like you were either in sports or you were in the art hallway. Like, it was very rare that somebody was doing both. So I really resonated with the whole bad at sports thing. And so when you came around with Melanin MVP, I was like, ooh, okay, because right now it seems like all eyes are on femme athletes, like women athletes. And I wondered if you could kick us off with why you might think that that is the case, because obviously they've always been around, like Black women. Is it women in femme or women? Is there an appropriate way to say it?
I typically just say women.
Okay.
I think that as we are all seeing now, the way people express their femininity and to what degree they express it looks wildly different.
Yeah.
They're all valid. And I think if we were trying to pinpoint, where this influx of attention and eyes have come from, I think it's a couple different things. I think that it is the confluence of the NIL making women athletes more visible due to a larger sum of investment very early on in their careers.
Sorry, what's NIL?
Name, image, and likeness. So previously,
okay.
college athletes could not make money from their name, image, and likeness. They couldn't, if they appeared in a commercial, great, but they were not able to get paid for that as a college athlete. They weren't able to take anything other than the scholarship they were offered to play at college.
Wow. They can't even get $500 or anything?
No. I remember it was a huge thing. So I'm from Alabama, and my hometown is near Auburn, Alabama. And I remember it was a huge thing when Cam Newton, it was reported that he got a laptop for free as a college football quarterback. And it's dude, this dude's about to take y'all to a national championship and y'all are harping over a $500 lap. Don't
Right.
y'all got better things to do with y'all's time? So now people are making millions off of this, right? And for brands, they're like, oh, if I get in with this athlete in college, I can be with them through their majority of their pro career versus waiting for them to go pro. And especially for women, that was really hard because they had to go through all 4 years of college. I don't believe it was an option for them to leave before their senior year, right?
Wow.
So you're talking about waiting through high school, top picks going from high school to college, and then from, through your college career, waiting essentially roughly 8 years to be able to finally sign an athlete who now has had the time to develop a relationship with an apparel company, likely the one they went to at college, develop a relationship with a hydration company, likely the one they used at college, all these different types of things. So I think that was a part of it. And then kind of in the age of social media, where that's prevalent, especially and popular for younger athletes, you have all this money and they have money now to invest in content and media around themselves, around who they are, around the sport, around their experiences, and around the brands that they know, use, and love on a regular basis. So we're talking about a massive amount of money and attention at one time to really, really incredible athletes. And now that's translating to the pros because they're like, hold up, skirt, skirt. I'm a pro champion. I'm an Olympian. Where's my deal at?
Yeah.
And seeing them get a piece of the pie as well. So I think it's kind of like kismet timing in terms of money meeting talent and attention at the right time.
Wow, that seems to be a lot of pressure it seems already like to be a student is a lot of work, right?
Right.
And then now you're an athlete, and now you also like a content creator on top of that.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. Let's just say it wasn't for me.
Wow.
Being an athlete creator, that's what you want to call it. But even just like an athlete with now a more visible personal brand, I think it's
Yeah.
very, very daunting when you're still so young that you're trying to figure yourself out and you're trying to figure out what matters to you and what parts of yourself you really feel comfortable sharing at the end of the day. I think we've seen the negative effects of that, but also the positive effects of that. And I think we're still, unfortunately, very early in the era of people having a team around them that can help them navigate that more easily.
Do you think in high school, right, when like the athletes that are in high school, are they being taught branding and stuff like that? I'm sort of blown away by all that pressure. Like girls' basketball team being taught about a day of, you know, I don't know, like picking out outfits or like how to post on Instagram. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they're being taught how to use social media. I think the like get ready with me's and like day in the lifestyle, like short vlogs are just popular by nature. I think we've maybe always had some form of that in our past lives, whether that was Instagram before it was Instagram now, or that was MySpace, or RIP Vine, that was Vine,
Yeah.
Twitter, we've had our version of like short form virality that was just almost like this unfiltered peek into our day and our lives. I think what's missing is the filter that's like, okay, just because you can share this and you have a phone that can connect to the internet at any time, do you need to share this? Um, what does this do for brands that want to potentially partner with you? Would they feel comfortable partnering with someone who has shared certain things previously? Um, a lot of questions that we haven't really answered yet, and quite frankly, I feel like we're moving a little too slow on
Yeah.
in terms of answering.
Yeah. And, it makes me think like it makes sense that, you know, that brands would want to connect to these athletes. And when I think of athletes, even though I know there's like tons, I'm really thinking about like the women basketball team right now, or like the ones that have just like blown up because I feel like I've only gone to one Chicago Sky game, and this was before all the stars, and I had courtside seats, which was amazing. But I had no idea. My mom had scored these. I had no idea who I was watching or whatever. I just thought, okay, this is like, it made me pay attention because I'm like, you see the media and stuff, so I better be like watching, Okay, so like thinking about these brands, when I was in film school, Canon always hooked us all up. And then when we graduated, we were all using Canon, and it makes sense because that's what we had in our hands all 4 years for everything, or like Arri cameras, So I could see how these brands are like, no, if I latch into this kid now, it just makes sense. But still, oh my God, such pressure. Because we weren't visible, but yeah, yikes. I don't want to be well, I'm too old, but I don't want to be a college basketball player.
Yeah, I mean, I just vaguely remember my time in I say vaguely, it wasn't that long ago, but I remember that, and I just on top of being a student, I could not imagine adding in regular practices, regular travel, and then on top of that, now almost having this business aspect to your life at such a young age. I was still trying to figure out how to get to class on time. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? And now you want me to be at a meeting with, like, global brand about what? Like, what are we talking about?
Right.
I can't imagine it. Again, like, really hoping these athletes of all kinds are just, like, having people around them that are helping them navigate this.
Yeah, and that are, like, honest and helpful. So, how did you come up with the idea of Melanin MVP? Did you play sports and all of that stuff?
Not seriously, like, I wasn't a college athlete, as you can tell. I played recreationally, in high school and, have since rekindled my love for cycling, but, I definitely didn't start Melanin MVP because I was like, "I'm this huge athlete that's gonna attract other huge athletes." I was like, "I feel like there has to be someone like me who's probably a more casual, everyday athlete who wants to support women athletes at a higher level, pro women athletes, college women athletes, and even, top tier marathoners, top tier triathletes." And I started Melanin MVP in the summer of 2024 around the Olympics.
Okay.
And it just felt like a really apex moment for me because I've been a huge women's college basketball fan for like years. But again, like as NIL money started flooding in, and I'm like, oh, I can watch them as they go to the WNBA. That's a thing. Cool. Let me do that. And I was really into the WNBA, and the Olympics happened during the WNBA break. So, and I'm like, hold on, why is this the first time I'm learning that they're going for like their eighth gold medal in a row? Like, what kind of crazy accomplishment is
Yeah.
that? What other storylines could I potentially be missing? Because I just haven't been as aware or vigilant in the space. And so I looked high and low and I was like, I don't see anything that's specifically for women of color athletes, and I was like, well, if you don't see it, just create it. And so I started the newsletter with like a Substack, a hope, and a prayer, no big
Mhm.
plans. Just like, can I at least have an archive, a document of these women across the diaspora that are achieving incredible things at the Olympics? And then the Olympics ended, and I was like, okay, what next? The WNBA playoffs, soccer games. How can I grow this into something that's more meaningful, but also more representative of people like me? How can we give a good mix of what's happening in, mainstream culture around women's sports, but also like who are the people like me who are doing everyday things that are amazing and that are also contributing to our perception of women athletes? And so it's kind of grown and evolved since then, but that's kind of the premise of it.
As you were talking, I was thinking like, wow, there's Black women soccer players I've never seen before. This is very ignorant of me. This is very ignorant of me.
Yo, hey, it's a first time learning for everybody. I learned a lot. Let's just say that I've been learning a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I love that you have this project because it's the same as like following like an artist. Like you get to see their career flourish, like you're watching these, athletes and their careers flourish. I'm wondering why I've never seen like it never even dawned on me. I always see, I have a lot of Black friends that take their Black kids to soccer, but I've never seen a famous one or
Mm,
like a known one, like a professional one, I guess is the right word. Professional. Wow.
yeah. No, that's a good question. I'll say maybe two perspectives here. One from like a Southern person and then one from like a women's sports fan. So living in North Carolina, the North Carolina Courage played in Cary, which is between Raleigh and Durham.
And
So
that's
I
the soccer team.
they're a women's soccer team,
Okay.
yes. And one of the bigger names on the team is Brianna Pinto, who is from Durham, and now she plays for the North Carolina Courage. So she is like almost like your hometown sweetheart, who's like incredible soccer player. So it's incredible to have, and she's a Black woman, incredible soccer player on the team. So I was like, whoa, like this is in my backyard. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I also remember when before Atlanta had a team, and Atlanta got a soccer team, and I'm like, okay, do people in the South like soccer? Dude, they were sold out the whole season, and we're
Wow.
talking about, like, the stadium where the Falcons play, like, what? that many
Wow.
people like soccer in the South? So, and it's like my hometown where I'm at right now, Phoenix City, Alabama. It's near Columbus, Georgia. Columbus, Georgia is about an hour and a half. Do you know how many season ticket holders live in Columbus, Georgia that drive an hour and a half into Atlanta traffic willingly to watch men's soccer? So I learned a lot that we have soccer fans everywhere. I think there are sports fans everywhere. It's about whether or not people have a team that's accessible to them and whether or not those teams and arenas and stadiums provide an experience that is worth raving about.
Mhm. Yeah. Does Melanin MVP cover like badminton players or any of these other, at the Olympics, they always have like these sports and you're like, what? Like people are
Right.
like riding those ponies and stuff, like those stick ponies.
They have so many things at the Olympics.
Yeah.
In terms of like your maybe less popular sports like your cricket, your badminton, things like that, handball, we have not currently, but we want to in the future. We're hoping to cover a ball hockey women's event
Okay.
in Rhode Island, Rhode Island.
Wow.
So we're excited to try some different things. I also think we're trying to cover golf. Apparently, there's people, women of color, that play golf. News to me.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
me too. I just thought that we just had Tiger Woods out there, but
listen, we're learning.
yep. I'm sure some of my listeners are like, Stephanie really needs to get it together. Thank God Angela is on the show today.
So trying to cover some different things. Just covered the US Open. I think tennis arguably has gone up in popularity, but
Yeah.
again, I think it's gone up in popularity because we feel more representative in the sport. You know what I'm saying? Across
Yeah.
men and women. Shout out to Ben, shout out to Taylor Townsend, shout out to, all these people that are just making the sport more popular, I think. So, yeah, the short answer is we're hoping to. We're trying our
Yeah.
best.
Yeah. Right. Okay, you've mentioned a few times everyday athlete. Can you talk about that phrase? That is a term that I've heard you bring up through like your podcasts and your newsletters. And I love it. It feels so inclusive. It makes me feel like I'm an athlete. When you say everyday athlete, I'm like, okay, I'm an athlete. So can you talk about that term?
Yeah, it's kind of a term I've used for a long time. A little bit about my background. I worked with an outdoor trails network organization for a long time, and part of my work was documenting, runners, walkers, cyclists, people with strollers, people who rolled, just all the different types of users that would use a trail recreationally or for transportation or for commuting to work or to school. And for us, that was a term we used to describe everybody who was not a pro athlete,
Hmm.
people who were just like getting outside, getting active, moving their body. And I think again, someone who's commuting for work may not consider themselves an athlete, but they are doing something athletic by, riding a bike and moving their body on a regular basis. And they probably have a lot to share with someone else who's interested in learning to ride their bike, using their bike recreationally, taking care of their bike. These are all things that are relevant for people who want to get outside and get more active. So that's kind of the first way I used, everyday athlete in my own kind of life and work as a creator, I think. And through that work, I also, again, reconnected with cycling because I'm like, okay, if I want to keep up with somebody on a bike, the best way to do that is to also be on a bike.
Hmm.
So I started riding more regularly. I ended up getting a bike eventually. And yeah, I've just been at it ever since. And when I think about, my own relationship with sports, do I care about competing? No. Do I care about regularly moving my body? Yes. Do I care about my health and well-being? Yes. Do I care about competing in a bodybuilding competition because I'm so fit from riding every day? No. Do I think it's good for my life and mental well-being and mental capacity and productivity to make space for movement that is challenging but fun and social in some ways? Yes. And I think that's the majority of people fall in that bucket, right? Most people don't have aspirations to be the fittest man on the planet or fittest woman on the planet, but they want to feel good about themselves. They want to feel good about the work they're doing, and they want to feel good about their health and well-being. And I think that being an everyday athlete fits into that. Anybody who competes, runs, trains for anything That's extra. That's awesome, and we champion those stories. But the majority of people are still trying to get from couch to the track or to the trail. And it's like, how can we continue to influence people positively, reinforce healthy stories around our bodies and our relationship to movement through this work? And so that term kind of means for me.
Yeah, I really love that. And it makes me think of the story. I worked at this camp, and one of the counselors would always ride his bike in, and he had, like, the whole, like, outfit, like, all Lance Armstrong, and another counselor would call him Lance Armstrong, and he told HR.
Not HR.
We were like, "Okay, here comes," they was like, here comes Lance," because he would go and, like, do a quick shower and change, and he'd be like, "I'll have you know, these shorts are to keep moisture appropriate and my shirt sweat appropriate, okay? I'm not Lance Armstrong." Oh my god, he was so offended. I was like, "Aw, I thought he meant it, like, in a sweet way, like, look out, like, clear the bathroom because here comes Lance, he's gonna need to use the bathroom to change and everything." But yeah,
Yeah.
he went to HR, I was like, "Dang."
Yeah, and there's people who are just like, "No, let me be very clear. I am doing this for my health and well-being and for the environment." And then there's the people who are, like, commuting every day in, like, shorts and flip-flops, like, no protection whatsoever.
Right, right. Yeah, if you ever come back to Chicago, like, during the Bike the Drive where, like, they close down Lakeshore Drive and just let people, like, ride their bike, that's always really fun because it's either just, like, families that are there with their kids, or there's people who are trying to be like Lance Armstrong. They're really, like, timing themselves, which I'm like, they should, like, make space for them because you, like, can bring your, like, 6 kids out, and they're, like, taking their time, like, on the span of the drive, and this person is trying to, like, use the time to time themselves, you know? So I'm like, y'all should, like, figure that out, but yeah, no, that is fun. It is I like the everyday athlete. I think I like thinking about being an everyday athlete. I would do, like, pole dance as like, my athletic thing, and what I loved about it is that everybody always in class was at, like, a different level. Like, there's some people who were just there who can't climb the pole or just starting to walk around. Other people are, like, flipping, but each time it's just, like, your own personal challenge, and the teacher was, like, working with everybody individually because everybody would just be at different levels. But I really enjoyed that because, yeah, like, maybe some folks are using that for work. Other folks are using it as a time away from family, and other people are just there to have fun and, like, socialize with their girlfriends. Like, it's all such an individual thing, and, I like that thinking.
I like
Yeah.
thinking about Chicago and riding
Yeah.
on Lakeshore drives.
Yes. Yes, I'll tell you the next one, like, maybe if there's, like, a way to sort of pair it with your speaking or something, that would be cool. That'd be cool actually maybe to do a meetup. Yeah, that could be, like, a cool, like, Melon MVP meetup, like a bike.
I would love that. I would love that. There's such a cool culture in Chicago already. So, yeah.
Yeah. Quick question, that has nothing to do with sports, but how far is Huntsville, Alabama from you?
Oh, I think like 4 hours.
Okay, there's a big reality show there. Are you familiar?
No, what is it?
It's called Love and Marriage Huntsville. I'm obsessed with it.
Oh, that sounds disgusting. I bet it's great. I bet people, like, love it, though.
Well, it was supposed to be really great because it was 3 couples who were into rebuilding North Huntsville. They were all contractors. And then at some point, one of the married couples has an affair and gets a side baby and calls the baby mama a peasant, and it has gone downhill from there. And everybody's like, "Wait, we thought we were watching, like, Black folks rebuild a community." Not and now it's gotten dark, like, social media is another 4th character of it, but anytime I, like, read about you, like, mentioning Alabama, I'm always like, "Oh my gosh, I wonder if I went to Alabama, if I could convince Angela to go to" one of them has a bar, and I'm like, "We can all go to the bar."
I, like, wanna troll this so hard right now. Like, I wanna figure out what's happening.
Yeah, it's the show has really taken a turn where we all were tuning in because we thought we were seeing, like, Black excellence, and then they were taking this part of, like, North Huntsville. They all had these capacities. They were all contractors, and we thought we were gonna see them building these communities, and yeah, that has not happened anymore. So anytime people mention Alabama, I always ask them, like their relationship to that city. Because I mean that city has it put Huntsville on the map for me. I had never heard of Huntsville, but yeah.
Yeah, let me give some context to my understanding of Huntsville and my perception
Okay.
of Huntsville. So for me, I know about Huntsville, one, just because I'm an Alabamian, but also because like of NASA. So NASA has a location in Huntsville. And so there's a lot of like aerospace engineering, like University of Alabama at Huntsville. Aerospace engineering is like really big there. They also have a hockey team, one of the few in the state. So I knew about it from like college. That was kind of like my perception of University of Alabama, Huntsville. Also that I was really far away and I didn't want to be that far away from home. So it wasn't really somewhere I was interested in going.
Yeah.
But now they've built this like amphitheater called the Orion Amphitheater, which,
Mhm.
NASA, Orion makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
Really want to go to a show there, like desperately bad. It just looks so beautiful. And like, what's better than like music under the stars?
Yeah, seriously. That's really cool.
But, like, Alabama in general has this, like, way of blending Southern charm with, like, the most chaotic mess you've ever heard of in your life.
Okay. Okay.
And honestly, part of me can't even fault this show for that because I feel like I'm also an embodiment of Southern charm and chaos. So, on some level, I get it. However, have I ever called somebody a peasant and then knocked them up? No. Do I ever plan on doing that? Also, no. So, again, excuse my people. We are the nicest people you will ever meet on 90% of the days you meet us,
Well,
but
I'm
that little
sure.
10%, you just gotta be prepared for some chaotic stuff. You just gotta be prepared for it to go left, and I think most people that experience Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, they experience the 10%, and then they're like, "Oh, the South is crazy, I could never move there," and we're like, "More for us. Shame on us for showing you the bad parts, though." So, yeah.
Hey, well, that show, they do have a resident therapist that they all go see, Dr. Francis, and he seems amazing. Like, I would love for him to have his own show, but it's also probably like not the best idea because, reality show fans are insane and they'll probably try to like pick him apart, but he's always really great on that show. And actually, your context of Alabama, it makes sense how, we were starting out with contracting and like building up a community. And next thing you know, somebody's side chick is being called a peasant and we don't go back there again. So, Angela, you are also a filmmaker. What's your favorite kind of films to make?
So far, I've made pretty much exclusively documentary
Okay.
films and documentary short films. I thought for a while, especially after I finished trail therapy, that my next step would be making a documentary feature. And then again, the chaotic side of me kicked in, and I decided that my patience could not abide by the time it takes to make a documentary feature as an indie and the amount of money that it costs to make a documentary feature. And I was like, you know what? It's time for me to write. I've done a couple documentary shorts. I was at the start of doing film festival circuit towards the end of last year. And I said, okay, cool. I'm getting my documentary fix. I have something that I'm known for. Trail therapy, for those of you who also are not maybe as aware, is a short film about a Black woman runner and therapist in Durham, North Carolina. So again,
Mm,
maybe I'm a little Huntsvillian as well. I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, it's like, okay, it's time for me to write something. So I've been really trying to put my head down and write something narrative. I've gotten really close to what I think is a good
Okay.
working draft that I think I would be ready to share with cast and crew
Okay.
on a working narrative short film script. And I have ideas slash outlines slash storylines for three different TV series. And I say TV series because I think anything that's not feature length film is, and that serial content is meant for TV.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at now. Hopefully, I will have something to show for that very soon, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely a process, right? Like, yeah, don't underestimate the power of a good script. That's for sure. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But it seems like, do you find that preparing your narrative films and documentary, like the prep for each one, like, is there one that's faster than the other for you? Or is it because maybe this is like maybe not new, but a different lane that you're focusing on in narrative? Do you feel like which one seems faster to you?
That's a hard one. And I want to caveat why I'm saying that's hard. I think it's hard for me because, arguably, documentary short film prep or any documentary film prep, it takes a lot of research, and the hardest part about it is relationship building.
Sure.
I will tell anybody that will listen, I got extremely lucky with Sharon because I talked to her a week before, like the week of my birthday. So that's the end of January, and we were filming 2 weeks later. Most people
Wow.
do not experience that. Like, she was really ready to go all in and trust me and really allowed me to have creative control, and has been incredible throughout this entire process. Like, my girl was made to be a main character, you know?
Yeah.
And there are some people who think that they're good main characters and that want a documentary film about them, but they sometimes aren't as interesting as they think they are. They don't follow through. And what they feel like is a good storyline for them that benefits potentially their personal brand, their work, their business, isn't always what makes for a good and compelling film. And I say that not to roast anybody, I say that not to discourage anybody, but to really put in perspective that documentary films, the most compelling ones, are of people who have a sincere challenge, not a manufactured one that they're being dramatic about, and that have the staying power to show you the progress towards overcoming that challenge. So I think from that perspective, trial therapy moved relatively quickly. There have been other ones that, I think there's one that took me almost 2 years to film, and that was a
Oh,
short. And
wow.
not just to film, but to create and get through post production and everything. So that's a really long time. On the narrative side, theoretically, it can happen as fast as it takes you to write the script, right? However, I am not Tyler Perry. I do not write a script from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., right?
Yeah.
So, and then film it in a day.
Okay.
That's not my life. So I like to have people read my things. I like to,
Right. Tyler be like, I got it. Let's
yeah.
go.
Tyler Perry's like, I woke up, I ate 2 eggs raw, I wrote a script, instead of going to therapy. And then I called all my rich friends and actors who I know, and then we filmed the next day, and that was it. Like, that's just, in a world with infinite resources and budget and nobody to check you and tell you,
Yeah.
like, hey, maybe we should think about this for a second. Yeah, it can happen that fast. Has it happened that fast for me as of right now? No. Um, Part of it was me feeling insecure. So I got to a first draft really quickly. I will say that. That took me maybe 1 or 2 days.
Hmm.
And I sent it out to some people for feedback, and their feedback was incredible. But then I got like really intimidated that I couldn't write something as good as they thought that I could write something. And so I left it alone for a little while. And then I was like, okay, I need to like, excuse my French, but piss or get off the pot. And I need to revisit this. So I did. There's the software that I use to write scripts called Arc Studio Pro. They do a live stream just about every week for people to come on and like write live, and they like have a structure for it. And so I joined one of those, and I got really good way through the revisions that I wanted to make based on the feedback. Did a couple more things I want to add, and it'll be ready to go. But
Okay.
again, the main hindrance is me. If I were one of those people who are like, I am an original filmmaker, I'm going to go sit in the woods for a month and write, like, I could easily probably crank out something a lot faster, for being honest,
Mm.
and then put out a casting call and a crew call and move on with my day. But that just hasn't been the process for me. Do I hope to get there, where the time between idea and script and having it released into the world is drastically shorter than what is coming up on, what, 8 months now? Yeah,
Mm.
drastically so. But I think it's getting through that first one and getting the confidence to say, like, okay, you did one, you can do another one. And putting it out there isn't the end of the world. Like, it's okay. So, yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. Did your cycling like help with your creativity and like your ideas and stuff?
It does. The cycling, the walking, it definitely helps. Whenever you have something in your head, especially for me, like, I know when there's a problem I need to solve, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I've been staring at it too long. I need to step away, right? Like,
Hmm.
sometimes you can just really be too close to a problem and you just need to kind of get out of your own head. So it's almost like a shower, It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now that I can be free and think for a minute, it's like, oh, why don't I just do this? Oh, why don't I just ask this person how they did it? Oh, why don't I just check into this? Why don't I research this? This person's done it. How did they do it? So you start to put less pressure on yourself to come up with answers too, I think. Like, once you start thinking about all the ways something can be accomplished, you start thinking like, or you start realizing like, all the answers don't need to come from me. Like, I'm not the first person in the world who's probably tried this.
Yeah.
I can learn from other people, and I can learn and iterate from their, you know, teachings pretty fast. So,
When you do cycle, do you like listen to music and stuff like that? Or do you just like let your time be clear to just see what comes through your mind?
it depends. More often than not, I listen to music just to, one, not only for me, but for other people on the trail so they can kind of hear me coming.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like an awareness thing too.
Hmm.
Definitely have gotten some interesting looks as I listen to Doja Cat.
I
Wonder
don't know
why.
why. Right.
But for walking, it's definitely a mix. And I would say almost like 50-50. Sometimes I'm just like in my own head, like no music, no podcast, no nothing. But I put the headphones on because I don't want anybody to talk to me.
Yeah.
And then,
Right. Like, I don't need a walking partner. I don't need a walking
no,
partner.
we're good. We're good. So I do that. Not going to lie. So if you see me, just don't talk to me on the trail. I'm
Right.
having a board meeting upstairs. Like, please
Yeah.
let me do that. And then sometimes I'll alternate between podcast and music when I'm walking, if
Okay.
I am listening to something.
Yeah, in the gym, I don't like that either. Like, if you see me, like working out, don't come over like, "Oh yeah, how's it been going?" Like, no, it's not a time to ask, "How's it been going?" Wave and like, I'll just talk to you later. Like, we're all on a time crunch here, you know? I mean, outside of that crew that's like they're over by the weights and they're just there to kick it all day and like make their content. But like they can do their thing and I'll like wave to them. But anytime anybody else, like, it's not social hour for me. Sorry.
Yeah. No. No, unless we are slated to go on a walk together.
Yeah.
Do not come up to me and think we're gonna have a conversation. We're not.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, how do you balance your filmmaking? You also have a podcast and you write newsletters. How do you balance? I think you do all these things, right? Which is a trend with folks that come on noseyAF. But I guess, is there ever a time when you're working on Melanin MVP and you're like, I should actually be writing? Because sometimes I wonder, like, when I come up with these different projects, it's like, no, what's another project that you really should be working on, you know? So, like, do you ever see it as a distraction?
No,
Mhm.
but I will make a note about balance, and this is probably the first time I'm saying this out loud.
Okay, come on, exclusive. I don't know if you've ever had an exclusive. Wow.
Look at me. Look at me making an exclusive drop here. This year was kind of my year to say, okay, like I'm spending more time at home intentionally, to spend more time with my family, and to do some things I've never done, like writing a narrative short film.
Mhm.
And, to get more serious about what it would look like if I were to make more money from original media and products than from freelancing. And I think a hard truth that I had to come to this year was like, okay, I know that, somewhere between 60 and 80% of my income comes from freelancing.
Mhm.
What does that look like for me to replace it? And while I can do a podcast, a YouTube channel, and a newsletter at the same time, not all of those avenues make money, right? And quite frankly, some of them cost a lot more money and a lot more time than others.
Yeah.
So while I can, what would it look like for me to really focus on the avenues that make me money, grow my community, grow my authority as a creator? And I had to come to the conclusion as I'm looking at the first roughly 3 quarters of the year. We're almost at the end of September now, so we're almost at the end of the third quarter of the year. How have I spent the majority of my time in each of these quarters? And what is the best use of my time in the last quarter of the year? And for me, I decided that that means less time on YouTube, less time on the podcast, more time on leveraging and growing and monetizing the newsletter to grow my audience, grow the revenue that I'm making from ads, and potentially grow revenue from courses. I'm dropping a course this month.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, like it was really tough as someone who wants to do everything and someone who genuinely enjoys doing everything. But the reality is that, like, if I can do one thing really, 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 really well for 3 months, it'll set me up with the business foundation I need to spend even more time doing the things that I want to do, like the podcast and YouTube channel. So that is where I've come to the conclusion on balance. The balance is that if you are juggling too many things, the answer is probably to focus. And you probably know what you need to focus on. You're just not doing it. And that by focusing on less and doing less better, you're setting yourself up to do more of what you want to do in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's always I always have a project and there's been a script that I wrote, but after I wrote it, I was like, "Oh, I don't like the ending." And so it's taken me 2 years to now finish it, right? And I'm like, just start and then you can always change it after, but I don't know, sometimes I get stuck in my head that whatever I change it to has to be the immediate, which obviously is not always the case. That's not the case times, I work tons of TV shows. They're always submitting out, it's always sending out new pages all the time. It's always changing
Yeah.
faster than you can even think sometimes.
And I think too, the thing about a script that we probably also don't want to admit to ourselves is we're just getting it to a version where an actor can or cast and crew can understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when an actor starts to embody these characters, they're gonna have opinions on how
Yeah,
their character would naturally act in that situation or in that scene. So you have to leave space for, their input as well,
it's
and for
true.
that character to develop through that actor over time. So, yeah, it's just understanding how to, just get it to good enough and
Yeah,
bring people into the creative process at the right time.
that's
So,
so real. That's so
yeah.
real. I need to hear that. You
I
know,
need to hear that.
oh, I know. I taught a workshop over the weekend about confidence. And the first thing I said, I was like, listen, I'm really talking to myself here. So, don't think I'm a confidence coach coming in here, with all the answers. This is really a 90-minute workshop of me just talking out loud to myself.
Yeah.
If I'm coming into into sports, because I think one thing Melanin MVP has taught me is to how fun sports can actually be. It's not either or, in high school, they were like, oh, are you an art kid or are you a jock? It's not a either or, it's a yes and. My question is, what's Angela's top 4 athletes or 5, I like odd numbers, that you could put me on to just start checking out?
Interesting.
Yeah. I know the I know Angel Reese and I know the basketball girls. I worked in a commercial with Camila Cardoso and her lashes. I loved how I'm like, you can see, you're not going on stage. You are not a Broadway actor, and I didn't say that. Obviously she could see, obviously she could see. But I think what I really love is the glamour of it all. I really am attracted to glamour. And when I was coming up in school, I feel like if I would have seen girls like that, I might have taken to sports more. But I wasn't really that athletic. I was tall, but it seemed like you had to be look a real certain way. It was white, no makeup, hair and ponytail. If you didn't look like that, you were not playing sports. That's the world that I came out of. So I feel like if I were to see Angel Reese and Camilla, as a young person, I might try out basketball, because of that. So I love that they're like that and they have all these nails. Even when I was in film school, I would take cinematography classes and I would wear nails. And they were like, you need to cut your nails. You cannot load a camera like that. And a few times I got it, but eventually I'm like, if they're going to keep harping on these nails, I don't want to hear that each time. So I got rid of the nails.
I think for me coming up, and again, I went to, majority Black and rural school.
Mm.
I definitely saw majority Black women athletes, but people are not going out in full glam, right? So there still was an athlete look that
Hmm.
definitely leans more tomboyish. So imagine my surprise when I'm seeing people in full beats, full sets, full nails,
Yes. Yes.
playing basketball
Right.
and running track. And I'm like, actually, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're gonna win like that, yes. Quite frankly, to take it off would be cheating
Hmm.
because you would have a clear unfair advantage right now.
Also, always so curious about their skincare routines because I'm like, I know I would have all that makeup on and my face would be broken out because I'm going to bed after all that work y'all just put in. But y'all have to go home and now wash your face?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, ladies, go ahead.
And if I had to name some athletes I would think you should check out,
Mm-hmm.
one of them is Taylor Townsend. She's a tennis player.
Okay.
She's a mom. She was the world number 1 doubles for women last year. And I think this year she came in like second. So she's second or third. So she's still like incredible doubles player. She went really far in the singles. Like I feel like she's really coming into her own as a tennis star. So
Wow, okay.
definitely Taylor Townsend. Try not to name all basketball girlies. I would say Brianna Pinto. Brianna Pinto is doing some incredible things right now.
Right. Yeah, that's the soccer player, guys. Wow.
Soccer
Who
player.
knew?
Who else? I would say for basketball, Dejanay Carrington. I've really been a fan of her. She was on my team last year and still kind of is my team, Connecticut Sun.
Mhm.
But she left. All the starters left. We're not going to go there. But she left and she's doing incredible on the Minnesota Lynx right now. So really happy that she's found a really good landing spot for her that I
Mm.
think she's going to stay at if they can protect her in this expansion draft. Another player from that team, Alyssa Thomas. In my heart of hearts, I want her to win the MVP for this season, but I know that she won't because Asia Wilson is just such a dominant player.
Okay.
AT is the MVP in my heart. Let's just say that. I think she's an incredible player. And while she may like shrug it off that she's not going to get MVP this year, I personally will go to bat for her every day of the year. I think she's done something incredible. I think she's kind of set the standard of playing with your spouse, your partner. I don't think they're married yet, but they are at least engaged.
Okay.
Played together in Connecticut, and now they're at the Phoenix Mercury together.
Wow. That's probably like the only like married couple in sports in that way that like plays together. Or look, what do I know? I don't know anything about sports.
No,
But
so
like,
actually, okay, so
is that a
here's some
thing?
lore. So
Wow.
here's some lore. Okay, the
Okay.
WNBA girlies, they be dating, all right?
Okay.
They be dating,
They're allowed to?
and they be getting engaged. So, okay, so New York,
Huh.
Natasha Cloud and Izzy Harrison, they
Okay.
go together real bad. Like, I
Okay.
think they're also engaged.
Wow.
And Dejanay Carrington, before she got traded to the Lynx, she was actually playing with her longtime girlfriend, who also got traded to the Aces. So they were like, at the beginning of the season, they were on the same team together.
Hmm.
And there's probably a lot more, but like,
Yeah.
let's say this. They be playing together, but I feel like AT and DeWanna Bonner, like I would say, set the standard for dating on the same
They're
team.
like the hashtag goals one. If
Yeah.
anybody, they're like the model to look at if you're going to date somebody on your team.
They play together really well, and they don't whatever if they even have issues, they never affect them on the court. Like they're very happy together. So
Wow. I'm surprised that they don't have like some type of clause in their contract that they can't do that. But maybe just have to disclose it.
I
Maybe
think
not
the
though.
clause says we grown and we can play basketball.
Yeah, and just don't bring it out on the court, right? The coach is probably like, "Look, don't mess with my team if y'all going to do this. Don't come here with that mess."
I think that's the clause. The clause is keep it cute. Win a game. That's the
I
clause.
love it. The clause is keep it cute, we grown. Period. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for putting me onto that because yeah, I don't know where to start. And you're on Melanin MVP, y'all, there's also a cross-training quiz that you all have to take. I've taken it myself to get some ideas of other ways that we can incorporate movement. It is not for the weak. I was told to do yoga 3 times a week and Pilates twice a week. So I got to get busy. I think it's doable. Yeah, because it didn't tell me like do yoga like 90 minutes a day. You can do like 5-minute yoga, 10-minute yoga. So I do think that it is doable. And I love a plan. I love when people tell me a plan.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm happy this is a great resource, and I hope everybody that takes it, let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know what it recommended for you. Like I want to hear what it's cooking up. I want to make sure it's accurate and it's helpful.
Yeah. Will there ever be like a Melanin MVP Awards?
Say more. What would you like the awards to entail?
I think the awards could be physical awards that go to the athletes, and maybe they'll say something, even if it's just like, I think at first it could be an award that goes to them, and then they could be like, oh my gosh, thank you. What is Melanin MVP? Like, that's so great. And then, introduce. But then I think eventually it would be dope to have it be like an actual award show that we all come to and we all get jazzy and we go.
Yo, okay, so you're giving me ideas. I
Okay.
appreciate these ideas.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? I'd be so excited to go because by the time that happens, I will know the people. And I'll be like, oh my God, Brianna, it's Brianna Pinto. And I'll like ask for a picture and she'll be like, yo.
Okay. So question.
Have
When you get the
presenters.
awards, is it pro athletes? Is it everyday athletes?
That's really good.
Did we
Okay.
try to get pro athletes and coaches to present the awards to everyday athletes?
I love that. And you know what? It reminds me, I don't know if they're still doing this, but there used to be a teachers awards and people would be nominated and they did like these documentaries on like a teacher, right? And they would show them in the classroom and then they would present the award to them. What if it was sort of like an everyday athlete who, okay, so let's just use you as an example. So you cycle, right?
Mhm.
And maybe you've done something for the community, like you've put somebody else onto cycling, right? Maybe you run like a little cycling group. I don't mean to say little, like it'd be little, but like you run like a cycling group for your community and, you guys are just having fun. Wouldn't it be cool if, insert Black woman cyclist presented you an award for your contribution to cycling, or you as the everyday athlete presented to pro athlete the cycling?
Hmm.
I'm not sure. That's a really good question on who we're awarding here.
Yeah.
But I just think I love the idea because there are so many athletes that we don't know about outside of just like maybe even in women's sports. And this is coming from somebody who I do not know about sports at all. But I feel like if I was to say the big sports, it would be like women's sports. It would maybe be like gymnastics, basketball, and tennis.
Mm.
I don't know anybody else outside of that,
Yeah.
and even gymnastics, it's from, the people who are like probably have the resources to have the marketing, like behind them to like make these big. I don't know who the professional like handballers are, badminton people or
What else? There's track and field.
swimmers
There's track and field.
or track and field.
There's your
Yeah.
Shakira Dickersons. There's
Yes.
Tara Davis Woodhall. There's your, I wouldn't say Gabby Douglas, but Gabby something, Gabby Thomas. Gabby
Mm.
Thomas. They have Melissa, who just won like the 100-meter at the Tokyo World Championships.
Yeah, see? We have
I'm
no
just
idea.
naming people. Okay.
Right.
So there's
Maybe
okay. Cool, cool, cool.
maybe
Interesting.
it would be pro athletes so that way we get introduced, but then maybe there's like segments in between these pro of like just people in the community who are doing cool things, or like maybe there's somebody who's ran their like Earth Marathon, like just these different things that could be really cool.
Okay. So my thing is another question as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, okay, who has an award show that we would potentially be competing with or that we could take notes from? Right now, ESPN probably has the Lock On Sport
Okay.
Awards, which is like the ESPYs. The ESPYs are fucking terrible. So, like,
And
it's a thing.
those are men and women too, right?
Correct. But
Yeah.
it's like, I watched the last one because I was curious. Like, it happened, again, during All-Star break. So I was like, let me see what's going on in the ESPYs. And they had a comedian as the host. Nobody was laughing.
Mm.
And the jokes, I'm not gonna lie, they were pretty good. They were pretty good.
Wow.
Like, I would say 70% hit rate, which is pretty high in general for
Yeah.
an award show. And, like, no laughing. People were very dressed up, very stiff. I also have heard some rumblings, aka tweets, from when people actually tweeted things, that there's some athletes that don't have a good perception of the ESPYs. So I think it's like a catch-22. It's like, okay, do I wanna go toe-to-toe with ESPN
Mhm, mhm.
and try to make something that a pro athlete would feel comfortable coming to alongside
Yeah.
everyday athletes, right? But also, if we could make something that was coveted like that, that was this kind of really awesome experience that felt maybe black dress, black
Mhm.
tie, could we provide an experience that not competes with the ESPN, but provides something totally different and fundamentally better and more positive than the ESPYs? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I remember when they had Black Girls Rock, and maybe that wasn't an award show, it was maybe more like a presentation, but I think people were awarded something. Maybe it's something like that. But I also really do like the idea of like honoring everyday athletes too. I think that that's really fun. Maybe it
Mhm.
could be sort of like how I was watching the MTV Awards and they also had like those sound stages by Sprite who were like the upcoming artists who maybe you never heard before, like they were like launch pads. So it's like we're watching Sabrina Carpenter here, but then we also have, blah, blah, blah here on this stage.
What if we did so let's do a mix here. I like the idea of having people nominate people, and then not
Mm-hmm.
only do they get an award, but they get a documentary from the
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
like that.
Yeah.
I also am curious if we could do our own version of fan voting. Like, could we grow Melanin MVP high enough to where we're doing fan voting for pro athletes, maybe?
Yeah.
Pro athletes, like, who are the people they would be most interested in seeing, and what is their perception of them? I think the ESPYs and I wanna say BET does an award for women in sports, but again, people just feel some type of way about voting, like who
Yeah.
wins each year. They always do. So, like, could we provide a better voting experience for an award show for pro athletes?
Yeah. Nickelodeon had they have that People's Choice Awards or like Fans' Choice. I wonder how they do their voting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
maybe it could
You
be
gave me
like a
some food
regional.
for thought. I really
It
I'm
could be
engaged. I'm
so
intrigued.
fun. Or like a yearbook. I don't know, just something where you could be like, catalog the people of the year could be like so cool.
We do have a yearbook in
Yearbook,
progress.
okay.
So we are gonna
Cool.
do an annual yearbook, and I think part of that was just because Melanin MVP, the podcast, started in January. So it's like, well, that just
Mm.
naturally makes it easy for us to do a calendar
Yeah.
year each year,
Yeah.
And then it gets people hyped for the next year, and so
Right.
instead of trying to do seasons, so Honey and Hustle, my first podcast is a seasonal show, but as you can see, some seasons, they're not consistent. They're
Yeah.
just kind of like whenever I get to them.
Look, it's like Atlanta, right? The TV show Atlanta. Like, we'll be back soon, we think, but we
Are we
coming.
ever going back to the pink? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. We hope. Yeah. So I'm trying to avoid that with Melanin MVP. So yeah,
Yeah.
your book is the idea for now for that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that we just took that into a brainstorm because that would just be so great. I'm so excited. We have our short list here of who we're going to watch, per Angela's suggestions and see where that, spans off into. I appreciate you coming and talking to us today on Nosy AF.
No, I appreciate the brainstorm. I appreciate the conversation. This is great.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. That was my conversation with Angela. What I love most about this conversation is how it reminds us that sports, creativity, and movement do not have to live in separate boxes. You could be curious, stylish, messy, competitive, chill, all at the same time. If this episode made you rethink what an athlete looks like or made you feel a little more permission to move in your body in your own way, then the conversation was a success. Make sure you check out Melanin MVP, the newsletter, the podcast, and that cross-training quiz we spoke about. And if you're discovering new athletes because of this episode, please let me know. I'm discovering new athletes all the time. I'm really, because of Angela, getting into sports. You know what I mean? I want to hear about who you are discovering. As always, thank you for listening to Nosy AF. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, leave a review, and I'll see you next time. Bye. This has been another episode of Nosy AF. I'm your host, Stephanie Graham. If you liked what you heard today, go ahead and give Nosy AF some love by leaving a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening. It helps folks who find the show think, ooh, if they like Nosy AF, I might like it too. You can find full show notes and transcripts at noseyaf.com. And while you're there, sign up for my newsletter, Good Stuff Only, where I share studio stories, fresh art, messy ideas, and each month's episodes straight to your inbox. Thank you so much for your time today. Until next time, stay curious and take care. Bye.